I haven't made a cooking video in a while, and today we're cooking up a pot roast, so I figured I'd do one about that. Early this morning, my wife actually got up and started making a pie to go along with it. She cooked up some of the pumpkins that we had grown last year and got the pie in the oven. And I got everything out for dinner tonight, and we're going to have some roasted Brussels sprouts, some mashed potatoes, and the onions go in with the pot roast, and some red cabbage, and the dill pickles go in with the pot roast, and some homemade applesauce, and there's some of the last carrots from our garden last year. And we did find a nice piece of bottom round roast yesterday. So start out by just kind of peeling and chunking up the carrots, and that's the same thing with the onions. These are a nice sweet onion, and just gonna, just take the skins off the outside of them, and then just cut them in like 6 sections and just chunk them up to throw them over the pot roast. Now, I don't know much about making a pot roast, so my wife is actually standing behind me telling me exactly what to do because she really didn't want to be in the video today. So, first thing you do is get the onions chopped up and get a real high fire going underneath the pot there. And then I put Jane's crazy mixed up salt on everything I cook. So I'm just going to put a nice sprinkle of that on both sides of the meat there. And we did find a really nice little bottom round with a nice grain to it and just a thin layer of fat. That should work good. And you just throw it in that hot pot there, and you want to hear it sizzling when you put it in there, and got the pot turned all the way up on high. And this step does take a while. You have to just stand there and kind of watch it and keep turning it and flipping it and try to get it so that it's nice and brown on each and every surface of it that's exposed. By the time I got to toward the end of it, I did actually set off the smoke alarms in the house. So you have to, kind of think ahead when you're doing it. Don't leave a window cracked or something. Because when you brown it up, it does make an awful lot of smoke. But there it is. You can see it's starting to get, nice and brown on all the different sides, and flip it up on the ends, and finally finish off the 2 ends of it there. This really does help give it a little bit of extra flavor. And you can see I didn't put anything in the pot to do the browning. It's just the meat itself, and starting with that fat side down. And once it's browned up, turn the temperature down under the pot to real low, and I'm just going to throw in those carrots and onions, and just stack them in the pot there alongside on top of it, and just throw the top on the pot. And make sure that it's just down on a nice low flame. And just let it sit there and simmer for an hour before you even, go back and look at it. Now, this jar of red cabbage we had, I've never seen anything like it. I was fighting with it for like 15 minutes, and finally I had to get out that red grip ring and this other Gorilla Grip thing to get it open. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get old with jars like this. Man, I have never ever had such a struggle trying to get a jar seal broken. Finally I did. Here it is an hour later. I'm going to open up the pot. Now I'm just going to take and try to push those veggies down on the side of the pot roast there, and just kind of, stir them up, and just put the top back on there for another hour. So here it is 2 hours after we started. You can see there's a lot of juice starting to form from the onions cooking down, and carrots are starting to cook. And I'm just going to give it a little stir now. And then what we do is we add, I'm adding 7 slices of our hamburger dill sandwich pickles. They've got a really nice flavor, and they really do give the gravy and the veggies and the pot roast a unique flavor when it's done. So I'm just going to throw them in and just push them down in the veggies. And just, let that all cook together for a while. And any kind of a good dill pickle will work in there as long as you, just slice it up or quarter it up or whatever. It just gives it some really great flavor. So then I'm just going to put the top on there for another about hour and a half or so. And my wife's getting ready to make the gravy. She put some Wonder in this little flour gravy shaker thing, and salt, pepper. and gets that put on the side there. In the meantime, we got that one of those Google Display Lenovo units for Christmas.
Hey Google, turn up
That thing's been
10%.
fun. I can just sit there cooking and watch all my YouTube videos, and tell it to bring up the videos and stuff. It's really a fun thing to have in the kitchen. So now the we peeled and chopped up and boiled those potatoes to have them with a meal. So just just getting ready to mash them here, throwing some. I like to throw a bunch of slices of butter in there, and then just a little bit of half and half to help soften them down a little. I know some people get fancy with them and put stuff like cream cheese and stuff like that in them, but I really just like them plain like this, so I can really taste the potatoes, because these are really good muck grown potatoes that are grown locally that we keep in our root cellar. So a couple minutes later, they're all smashed up nice and ready for gravy. And then it's time to remove the meat from the pot. Now this has been in that pot for almost 4 hours now, so it's really just about ready to fall apart tender. It just did come out really nice, and it really does have a great aroma to it at this point in time. So here's those carrots and onions and pickles in there. So we're just gonna take them and put them in a serving bowl and try to get every last drop of them out of the juice there. And just throw a piece of foil over the meat and let it sit for about 20 minutes before slicing it. Now my wife turns up the fire and gets that pot back to a boil with the juice, and she puts about 2/3. She uses 1/3 Wonder and 2/3 water in this little shaker, and it's got this little top in there to shake it up good and mix it good. And she's had this thing forever. It's one of those Tupperware things that she's probably had for 50 years, and it does a good job at making gravy. So you just put the water and the Wonder and salt and pepper in there and give it a good shake, and then she gets all that juice, once we've removed the veggies from it, up to a boil, and just starts to stir in this Wonder mixture a little bit at a time. Just adds a little and stirs it, and adds a little and stirs it until finally it's all kind of mixed in the pot there, and you just keep stirring it and cooking it as it thickens up a little bit. After a couple minutes, it's starting to thicken up, and it's time to give it a taste, she says. You always have to taste the gravy, because you never know how flavorful it'll be. So she decided that it needed a half of a bouillon cube in it, so she just got out a half a beef bouillon cube and put it in there for just a little bit of extra flavor. Kind of crumble it in there and just go back and just stir it in good while it's still cooking up. And part of the secret to making a good pot roast is having one of these good old cast aluminum pans like this with a really good lid on it that seals great when it's cooking. And now the Brussels sprouts are out of the oven. They've been roasting for a while, and meat's been sitting there resting for a little while, so it's time to cut it. And you always want to look for the grain and then just try to cut it across the grain. And a lot of times with pot roast, it will actually fall apart as you cut it. You can see there the first couple of slices are really just kind of gonna fall apart, just because they're really cooked so well done that they're just like butter tender. So just a little bit of slicing up, and basically the meal will be ready to eat. So it does take a couple hours to actually put a meal like this together, but it really is worth the time if you find a nice piece of bottom round roast with a nice marble going through it. And you can see as you get in a couple slices from the edge, it actually starts being sliceable and staying together as nice slices. So that's all sliced up, and time to put everything on the plate and serve it. And I love these veggies and the pickles and the onions and stuff. They just are, have such great flavor when they're all cooked up. And so I got that all on there, and then just a little bit of gravy on the meat and potatoes there. And The red cabbage we actually buy. We've tried making it a couple of times and canning it, but we really haven't come up with one that we like. So we find it's better to just buy it, and then just a little scoop of our homemade applesauce there. We just, it's like a sugar-free applesauce. So there it is. It's really great comfort food for when it's a nice cold day out, and started with like veggies from the garden, the carrots, and the pickles and the applesauce, and the potatoes were locally grown, and the onions were local too. So basically, just thought I'd share this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.